I do believe that if I remain in the will of God and I continue to do the things, prayer, studying the word, serving in church, being a part of a church, and all of these things that God commands us to do, then I will never touch another drug again. Now, if I stop doing those things, if I stop seeking the Lord in prayer, if I stop reading his word and trying to be a doer of the word, be sober-minded, be watchful, for your adversary, the devil, is prowling around like a roaring lion. He's still prowling. It's just right now I'm aware of him. I know where he's at. But the moment I start putting my guard down and I stop armoring up with the word of God, having my sword of the Spirit, and I stop being around people who are going to speak life and truth into me, and he's just going to get closer and closer and closer. Next thing I know, I find myself, so I'll just smoke a little bit of weed. Well, next thing I know, I'm doing a little pill. Well, it's not fentanyl though. I was really bad on fentanyl. This is just a little something. Next thing you know, you're right back where you started.
Now you have a new identity.
Yes.
Now you are a new creation.
Yes.
You are a new person, because the old man, like you said, has actually died indeed.
Yes.
So how will you continue to define yourself based on the person that is dead?
Right. That's Romans 5. Right there. It talks about that in Romans 5, not to, how could you identify with sin if you're dead to it? And so that's exactly my point. What does living life abundantly mean? I think when you hear the word abundance, sometimes it automatically gets tied in with wealth or finances, But how many rich people do we know that end up committing suicide, right? How many rich people do we know that are like unhappy or struggling addiction or depressed and all this stuff? So when Jesus says that, I've come to give life and life abundantly, I don't think he means, oh yeah, I'm going to just give you a bunch of money. No, abundance is that peace that we're all looking for, that joy. And the difference between joy and happiness is that happiness just is based off circumstances. Joy is like a constant state. You can be going through very difficult trials and still have joy, and that's the abundance that I seek. When I was doing the drugs and partying and all this stuff, I was ultimately looking for peace.
If someone is watching right now and they are secretly addicted, what is the first step that they should take?
I would say talk to somebody that you trust, preferably somebody who is also a believer, but somebody who's going to be able to give you wise counsel. Or if it's kind of early enough, it's not that bad yet, but I'm kind of noticing that, just share with someone. Satan wants so badly to make us so scared to expose the sin in our lives. But when we bring that darkness to the light, it no longer has that same power over us. That guilt and that shame is not the same. When it's this secret sin that's inside, it's like it just rots our mind.